Good morning, everybody. And on this fine day, it is October 31. Dare I say, Halloween Day. The time is 10 o'clock, and I'll call this fine meeting of these fine people to order. We are joined by our Vice Chair, Madam Bailey.
Good morning.
We have Commissioner Washington.
Good morning.
We have Commissioner Giraldo. And we have Commissioner Dorner, who is
Spaceman.
Oh, yes.
excellent. And it's not just us. There's other chicks and dudes that are hanging out with us as well. We got Miss Laura, Miss Jessica, Miss Sherry. We got Mr. Joe. We got Mr. Ryan and Mr. Kenny. We're all helping us out in all sorts of different ways, shapes, and forms.
Looks like we got a couple. Looks like we got a couple other normal people too. So put those in the. Dorothy Bailey could be the leader.
I know. She's dressed as the vice chair.
Exactly.
Please note that the deadline for all participant pre-registration and submission of materials and exhibits was 12 noon on the Tuesday before this planning board meeting. And if you want to speak at this meeting, at any meeting, you can join the meeting with the link provided in the email provided by the planning board office, or just tune in. You can tune in. That fits right in with the theme to watch the planning board meeting via live stream. We have what I believe will be a very short agenda, folks, and we will start with item 2 on our agenda. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the draft minutes to approve the draft minutes for October 24.
Move approval. Draft minutes.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Bailey, a second by Ms. Washington. If there's no further things to discuss, I will call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
I vote aye.
All right, no legislative items. And our next item is, I'm sorry to say, we're going to go away from you fine people for a bit. We have a brief executive session pursuant to the general provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, Article 3-305, subsections B, 1, 2. A closed session is proposed to discuss a personnel matter concerning an appointed position in the Department of Parks and Recreation. If there is no comments or questions about that, I would look for a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Giraldo, second by Vice Chair Bailey. If there's no discussion, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
All right, we will, I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 5-0. I don't know if I said that in the other one, but I voted aye in the minutes. That's 5-0 as well. And we'll go into executive session. I think we'll be back in about 10, 15 minutes at the most, probably 10 minutes. See y'all fine cats and dudes in a bit.
Thank you.
Personnel matter, and do we need to, Laura, do we need to ratify anything that we did in a closed session?
Just a brief statement of what occurred to the extent that it wouldn't reveal anything that was confidential.
Is it enough to say that we took action on a personnel matter in for the Department of Parks and Rec?
That would be sufficient, yes.
All right, there it is. So let us move on to item 3C in our agenda. This is the proposed M&C PPC budget for Prince George's County. This is a preliminary presentation. I think that's right. I think that's what's before us. This one is no. My notes are wrong. Staff, help me with this. We're not doing the corporate budget office. We're actually doing the planning department budget, correct?
We're also doing the planning board office, Chair.
All right. All right. No, just go. Jessica's advising me.
It's the commissioner's office budget, planning department budget, DPR's budget, and CR's.
All right, so we're running through all four, and we'll start with the planning department. We'll start with the planning board office budget. I promise you that this costume does not speak to my state of mind right now.
Mm-hmm. Tell us anything.
Maybe, just saying. So we'll start with the planning board office, and I believe Mr. Clark, you are on point for that.
I am. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. For the record, my name is Robert Clark. I am the budget coordinator in the planning board office. For fiscal year 2026, the planning board office is proposing a budget of $3.978 million, which increases expenditures only $79,923, or just over 2% above the approved 2025 approved budget. These increases in personal services classification and the chargeback classification are partially offset by a
Ms. Clark,
decrease.
Rob, hold on
Yes.
1 sec. We don't have your slides up yet. Just give it 1 sec so we can get the slides up so we can follow along.
Okay.
Renee, are you talking to us? You're on mute. I think she was saying goodbye.
All right, Rob, while we're waiting, so why did the witch submit a budget request for a new broom?
I don't know.
Because she needed a flying upgrade to keep up with her spellbinding expenses.
Sounds like me.
All right, so why did the ghost get denied the budget request?
Why?
Because it didn't have a beautiful enough justification.
Ooh.
On a similar vein, why did the vampires budget request get rejected?
Why?
Why?
Because it didn't have enough stake in the project.
Ooh.
You're killing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're killing us.
I'd like to really figure out the research project that went into this. What materials were used?
It's a lot of fun making.
All right, Mr. Clark, I believe we have the slides.
Okay. This looks like Central Administrative Services, so I can continue with my memo if you want.
Why don't you run through yours, and if we have specific
Okay.
questions when we get to it, we'll get to it. But they'll work out the logistics, and you can go through your presentation, Rob.
Okay, so I was basically saying our budget for our office is only increasing $79,000, just about 2% over the 2025 approved budget. I wanted to point out that we have reallocated funding between 9 personnel classifications to better address operational needs. Our personal complement will remain at 16 career positions. And on the next page, which you don't have right now, I have explained all variances within the major object classifications. So I can just speak on it if you want. The
Uh,
personal, hmm?
Yeah, go ahead. High level, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll be quick. The personal services, as I pointed out earlier, will increase $75,124 above 2025. This small variance is due to one or more of the following factors. Okay, you have it up now. Actual hiring costs may differ from the amount budgeted. Increased benefit costs and the benefit mix that is chosen by employees may change. Again, our personal complement will remain at 16 career positions. In the supplies and materials classification, as I pointed out, we allocated some small funding, just $1,000 to better address office needs. The other services and charges classification, you can see the proposal is 1.7 million, just under 4% above last year's approved budget. And most of this $65,000 plus increase results from increased investment in staff as it relates to training, membership in professional organizations, and we added additional funding to attend conferences to enhance professional development. We reduced capital outlay to fund that $65,000 and put it where funds can be better utilized. And lastly, we have a chargeback. We have a position that we share with the planning department. And so there was an increase in funding there. That's the chargeback at $50,506. And lastly, as I point out every year, is our project charge payable to the county council, which comprises 1/3 of our budget. And so I put the history of the project charge, how it started at 300,000 and now it's $1.287 million. So that's my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Questions?
Yeah, quick one. On capital outlay, is
Mhm.
that for anticipated expenditures for the new office? Or what's
Well,
happening to that line item?
we have reduced capital outlay to 20,000. We actually had 90,000 and anticipating that we may need funding when we moved here.
Right.
We didn't need that funding, so we've transferred the majority of that capital outlay to
No,
support.
I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that we were not transferring monies that were planned but not used. So you answered the question. It was for
Mhm.
anticipated expenses for the move.
Exactly.
Got
Exactly.
it. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Clark? No other questions, sir. Thank you as always for all the fine work. This is just a briefing, so there's no action needed. And
Thank you.
thank you. And let's move on to what are we doing next, Miss Jessica? Planning Department. You are on mute, Madam Princess. Still can't hear you.
Excuse me, Mr. Flanagan, if you can scroll down. You have the right document up. You just need to scroll down to the next page.
But Director Hall, we still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. Well, I'm Cleopatra today, but I'm also known as Lakeisha Hall, the planning director. So super excited to provide this briefing with my budget manager, Lorraine Coleman Williams. So I'll turn it over to her to provide some updates for FY26 budget.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Lorraine Coleman Williams. I'm the budget manager for the Prince George's County Planning Department.
And we appreciate that you dressed up as a budget director. I think that's excellent.
See, you're not going to help me get through this. It is my pleasure to present to you the Planning Department's fiscal year 2026 budget proposal. As noted in the memo, this budget has been developed to reflect the department's basic values, core services, and strategic goals, the 4 Ps: people, projects, placemaking, and partnerships. People are key in providing technical support for our work programs. Our projects will be reviewed through a more streamlined development review process while cultivating more effective partnerships and coordination throughout the county. Placemaking includes advanced placemaking, includes advancing the Placemaking Around Town program, through transit-oriented development planning and implementation at various metro stations. Partnerships includes investments in technology and process improvements to meet department, county, municipalities, and state agencies' expectations for providing optimal customer service. With that in mind, we anticipate an increase of 3.1% over our FY 2025 adjusted budget, or an increase of $1,575,862. This amount is comprised of an increase within the personnel services category, of which $2,232,121 is salaries, and at present, our fringe benefits total is $763,447. Please know we expect that the benefit amount will change as additional information becomes available.
Ms. Coleman-Williams, hold on one second. I think we need to scroll down the memo in front of us. There we go.
Okay.
Please continue.
Sure. These increases are due to the costs associated with medical benefits, as well as anticipated increases in salaries to support our recruitment efforts for hard-to-fill positions, and our request for 21 new positions to support our work program needs. The proposed non-personnel service category has netted a decrease totaling $757,356. In general, this decrease will offset the increased personnel requests, but I would like to highlight a few of our major proposed changes within our operations. We are proposing an increase of expansion of our collegiate internship and undergraduate graduate assistant programs, totaling $418,000. This expansion will incorporate a professional practicum component in coursework for 3 higher education institutions. It will include a robust, formalized training experience with on-site planning projects, community meetings, opening and closing ceremonies, facilitated trainings, and development of job skills. We are proposing increases within the community planning division to support new initiatives and expand current work programs, totaling $920,000. The community planning division is requesting $570,000 for the expansion of the missing middle housing study to include research and development, visual aids, and other supporting documents in conjunction with the state of Maryland's initiatives on providing affordable housing needs for the county. In addition, the division is requesting $350,000 to support 2 new initiatives, one of which is $150,000 to support a pilot program. This provision of funding will help municipalities and community organizations with public art and wayfinding in our communities. This program builds on 4 Ps I mentioned, placemaking partnerships. Lastly, the division is requesting $200,000 for a farmland and preservation and activation study. The study will explore preservation and activation of farmland and other rural areas within Prince George's County. In addition, we propose a $125,000 increase to support a mandated Prince George's County permits customer service training within our newly established Intake and Regulatory Review Division. This new division allows for a more streamlined permitting and plan review processes as related to the old and new zoning code ordinances, which was approved by the County Council during FY 2025. The division will also focus on providing enhanced customer service to ensure development review and application information are easily accessible, while better supporting walk-ins and online inquiries. Lastly, the Countywide Planning Division is requesting $242,400 to obtain professional consultants for market analysis, visual aids, and other supporting planning documents for daily operations to meet deadlines on time-sensitive programs. Now let's take a look at proposed decreases. As part of the 2025 budget evaluation process, the department proposes to decrease $2,315,535 within the non-personal service categories, as outlined in the chart that I've been provided. Near completion, and the elimination and or realignment of services to assist in offsetting the 2026 proposed programs and ongoing projects. And they are as follows. $115,000 decrease for the Marlboro Pike study that's been completed, $300,000 decrease for the master plan evaluation study, $100,000 decrease for zoning ordinance consultant services, $200,000 decrease for the mandatory guideline referral update, $200,000 decrease for the travel demand model conservation enhancements, $350,000 decrease for special studies, and lastly, a $1,175,535 decrease of services department-wide to include but is not limited to the printing and copying and binding of documents, security and security monitoring, building and ground maintenance, janitorial services, and utilities for better alignment. This concludes my FY 2026 preliminary budget. I'm available to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman-Williams. Questions for our Director Hall? We're going to hear from you as well, or is this where we stop and take questions if there are any?
I'm here to answer any questions, sir.
Okay. Commissioners, questions, thoughts, reactions?
Yeah, I have a question for Madam Director. Since you all are going into placemaking, I just wanted to know if you could tell us why did the zombie become involved in placemaking?
Why did the zombie become in placemaking? What's the answer?
Because he wanted to turn every vacant lot into a dedicated gathering place.
Oh my goodness, Tony was gonna love that one. That's a good one there.
Any other questions or thoughts or reactions? Let me just say that I appreciate the direction that you are going, Madam Director. This feels quite, in many ways, it feels quite transformative. Appreciate the initiatives that you're putting additional funding into. The emphasis on placemaking, especially, I think is quite important. So thank you. Thank you for all the good work on this. And commissioners, if there are no other questions on this one, we can move on to our next presentation. And we're going to go to Director Tyler. Thank you very much, Ms. Coleman-Williams and Director Hall.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and members of the Planning Board. We are very pleased to present a high-level briefing today about budget, and our budget manager, Ms. McCain, is going to do the presentation for us. So thank you, and I'll be here to answer any questions. Thank you.
And Ms. McCain, apparently you spoke to Ms. Coleman-Williams, and you too are dressed as a budget manager. I appreciate that.
I too am dressed as a budget manager.
Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Brenda McCain, and the operating budget manager for the Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present a brief, strategic, and programmatic overview of our proposed FY26 operating budget. The Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation provides comprehensive park and recreation programs, facilities, and services that respond to the changing needs of the county's diverse communities. The department strives to preserve, enhance, and protect open spaces to enrich the quality of life for present and future generations in a safe and secure environment. The department is responsible for acquiring land, developing and managing park and recreation facilities, maintaining open spaces, and providing a wide array of programs, leisure activities, and services through a vast inventory of facilities. As a reminder, the pillars of our organization are fiscal accountability and responsibility, innovative programming, efficiency of management, prioritizing public safety, stewardship of current infrastructure, trails, infrastructure, and athletic fields maintenance, conservation, and sustainability. Our FY26 focus areas and strategies include an emphasis on trails and infrastructure maintenance, improving and implementing new maintenance standards for athletic fields, increasing visibility of arts and cultural programming, implementing efficiencies in the use and protection of the natural environment, ensuring that all facilities are physically accessible to those differently abled, ensuring branding consistency in all of our communications, and implementing a customer care program where satisfaction and loyalty is valued and consistent. The proposed FY26 operating budget for the Prince George's Department of Parks and Recreation is required to stay within the county's spending affordability recommended guidelines upon adoption. The department is committed to exercising strong fiscal discretion to meet its operational needs for the fiscal year, to include efforts to reallocate funding where needed and to repurpose existing vacant positions where possible. Allow me to share with you some of our proposed enhancements for the proposed FY26 operating budget. There's an increase of $14.6 million in salaries and benefits, partially due to adjustments made because of the classification study, which affected vacant and filled positions, the increase in benefit costs, and the proposed addition of 7 new positions, 4 in the park and 3 in the rec. There are also additional seasonal funding requested to assist in stormwater management, trails, and field maintenance. We can lessen the impact of the new positions by analyzing our current vacancies and repurposing where possible. $4.4 million in other operating charges due to increases in utility costs, the transfer of flats from the enterprise fund to the park fund to the rec fund in the prior fiscal year. Contracted services for landscape architects to assess the miles of trails, athletic fields, and infrastructure. Maintenance and restoration of 345 plus stormwater management systems. Landscaping, recycling, waste management, pest control, and landfill fees. Legislative mandates project charges have increased to $10.6 million this fiscal year, up from $8 million in FY24, and we anticipate the same amount for FY26. Credit card processing fees have increased by 20% year over year and are now approximately $1 million a year. Replacement of outdated automated external defibrillators, those are AEDs for police vehicles and facilities. Software for summer camp registrations to streamline the process and reduce paperwork. $100,000 in chargebacks due to CWIT increases in licenses and subscriptions for the department. There's also $1.2 million in other budget impacts for new initiatives that includes the African American Museum in Brentwood, where there needs to be an investment in space, collections, interpretations, and programming. Also, the Old Maryland Farm needs a replacement for a front loader to move farm products around the area. There's also requested funding to upgrade cricket fields, upgrade warning traps, install irrigation systems, and create the much-loved dog parks. Park Police also has plans to increase their K-9 unit and to develop a drone program. Transfers to debt service are decreasing by $1.8 million based on existing debt and new debt scheduled to be issued in FY26. The transfer to capital projects fund is increasing by $7.6 million based on increased number of planned projects, inflation, and an increase in construction costs. More to come on that on December 5th when CIP presents. So that represents a 7.5 increase over our FY25 budget. And that concludes my presentation. Let us know if you have questions.
Thank you, Ms. McKay. Questions, Commissioner Washington?
Yeah, Mr. Tyler, I was really glad to see that you all are making the investment in branding with respect to consistency in communications. And I would just like to offer, that's a great focus that we ensure what we're saying is consistent, but I would also ask you to think about a marketing component with that, because it's not just what we say, but to who we are saying it to. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity for our park and rec facilities to be viewed as kind of a destination for those even outside the county, because they are fabulous in that regard, but it would also increase our non-resident fees, which would certainly also help our budget impact.
Thank you so much for that comment. You're absolutely right, and we are going to make sure that we put that into the plan as well. So thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Commissioner Joyner, anything you have, any thoughts on this you might have? Any questions you might have for Director Tyler or
Yes.
Ms. McCain? I think Ms.
Marketing.
McCain needs a question.
Since we're on marketing, I got a good question. So we've got over 160 miles of trails in our county that people like to go out and enjoy and everything. So why do the ghosts like to jog on our trails?
I'm not sure, sir. What is the answer?
Because it enjoyed a good spirited run.
A good. Thank you. Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Similar to the planning department, I want to appreciate the focus in this budget on some of the really significant priorities. The investment that we're making in the fields, especially with our partnership with the Prince George's County Public Schools, is quite transformative, and I appreciate all the effort that's gone in from the department in the very, very complicated negotiations and collaborations with the school system. But I think it's there'll be significant reward for the residents of the county by us doing that. So thank you all for that. And also for all of us, just keep your eyes open for how this effort related to the African American Museum progresses. I think this is again, a potentially extremely transformative project for the Department of Parks and Rec, the Commission, and the county. So I'm sure Director Tyler will keep us in the loop on that as it progresses. And are there other questions for Department of Parks and Rec? If not, thank you all very much. Thanks, Ms. McCain, Director Tyler, and we will turn to Mr. Spencer.
Good morning, Chair Shapiro and Vice Chair Bailey, and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I'm Bill Spencer, Acting Executive Director, and with me is Terry Bako Charles, our Corporate Budget Director, who will shortly present our budget. Also attending is Gavin Cohen, Secretary Treasurer Deborah Borden, General Counsel Renee Kinney, Inspector General, and Mazen Chalet, our Chief Information Officer, in case there are some follow-up questions specifically that they may be required to address. Just to let you know that our proposed FY26 CAS budget, CAS budget, was developed with the input of the Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation and the Planning Department, just to ensure that our budget aligns with the needs and to support the mission and the functions of those two departments. It was a collaborative process in which there was a healthy exchange of ideas and opinions, and they supported our budget request. With regards to our goal really is to seek your approval of our budget, and our budget is really, we're really asking for the bare necessities. There's no new request from the Department of Human Resources, no new requests for resources from the General Counsel's office. There is one request for from the Inspector General's office for one new auditor position, and that was based upon the feedback of the departments from conducting an annual risk assessment, which identified various business processes requiring audit, as well as responding to the department's needs for refresher trainings on fraud, waste, and abuse prevention from those departments. Our finance department has requested one position, which is a P-card program administrator, which that position was currently being fulfilled by a half-time position, basically. But that has grown over the past 10 years and has outgrown the ability for a half-time position to perform those duties. Just to let you know, we're supporting over $16 million of P-card purchases, in which there is over 230 cardholders that are utilizing those. Because there's a rebate of roughly $300,000, we expect that to be virtually cost neutral. The Chief Information Officer is requesting just restoration of monies that was left out to ensure the continuation to meet our contractual increases, um, needs for capital equipment, laptops, and associated equipment, as well as training for operational enterprise systems like Kronos and Office 365 and security training, which is surely needed. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Terry Bako Charles, our corporate budget director, who will dive a little bit more into the actual numbers. Terry?
Thank you. And I just want to point out, Ms. Picard Charles, we really appreciate you dressing up and wearing orange.
Being a big pumpkin?
Being a big pumpkin. Yeah, we like that. We really do.
If it's possible, can we put up the CAS slide deck now and advance it to slide 5? And again, good morning, Terry Bako Charles, Corporate Budget Director. As Bill has already laid out, I will take us to the details just so that you can get a sense of what CAS in the aggregate looks like. Next slide, please. This slide is put in the deck, if you will, to allow you to see the totality of the 7 departments that make up the CAS budget. Please note that all of the reference numbers here in both our memo as well as on the slide are taken from the FY25 adopted budget, which does not reflect the salary marker, but you're fully aware of the fact that when you see this budget return towards the end of November, it will include those adjustments, those final adjustments, and be referenced at that point as the FY25 adopted adjusted. Also coming in November, which my other counterparts have alluded to, is the fact that the numbers will be more solid and will contain the additive impact of our remaining pieces with regard to personnel costs based on updated pension and OPEB valuations, as well as the assessment of the group insurance fund. But as shown here on this slide, the CAS budget is anticipated to increase by nearly 1.8 million over FY25 to almost a total of 28.7. So we're going from 26.9 to 28.7. That is a 6.6% increase. And as seen here, if the slide can be condensed, if you will, Prince George's share is going to be about 624,000. Nearly 5.5% of the increase, which is about 1.5 million, is driven by just base budget changes. We are asking for 1.1%, which is new critical needs. And again, as Bill has already referenced, those are our 2 requests, one by Finance Department and the other by the Office of the Inspector General. With your review of our submitted memos, you have probably already noted that the individual department increases range from a low of just 0.5% or $826 more for the Merit Board to among the high, a 14% increase for the Office of Inspector General, which is an additional $191,000. That simply is being driven by the request of an additional position. Bill has mentioned each department worked diligently to present a modest increase and where possible took reductions in non-discretionary costs in light of the anticipated tight budget year ahead of us. This next slide, the next slide, please. This slide contains each of the respective department marks, and I'll very quickly walk through each. DHRM is requesting a total of 9.7 million. That's a 3% base budget increase or approximately 285,000. Although our personnel expenses are estimated to increase by 5.5% or nearly 500K, the department was able to reduce non-discretionary costs by nearly 9.9% or 135,000. And those reductions reflect removal of one-time costs for our current year's recruitment refresh, and us also tightening our belt, if you will, on other trend alignments related to professional services And so as shown here, the Prince George's share is 5.25 million. Finance is requesting 7.5 million. If you scroll down a little bit more, you'll be able to see theirs. That's a 7% base budget increase of approximately 494,000 and nearly a 2% critical needs request. Again, that request is just one position, purchase card administrator, at an estimated cost of 133,000. With that, personnel expenses for finance are estimated to increase by 7.2%, or just over $500,000. The department is increasing their non-discretionary costs, but only by $3,000 or 0.5%. And as shown here on the chart, the Prince George's share is going to be 4.2 million. Legal is requesting a budget of total of 3.9 million. Again, their budget is a 4% maintenance budget increase. It represents approximately 156,000. Their personnel expenses are estimated to increase by 7.3%, which is almost 400,000. But again, the legal department was able to reduce their non-discretionary costs by nearly 9.6%, or 60,000. They've been able to tighten their belt as it relates to reductions both in supplies and other services. And the Prince George's share of their budget is going to be 1.9 million. The Office of Inspector General is requesting nearly 1.6 million, which is a 2.8% base budget increase of approximately 42%. Now, their new critical needs request is an 11% increase, but again, it comes in the form of a single position being asked, a senior auditor, at a total cost of 153,000. With that, their personnel expenses will increase by 14.6%, or nearly 200,000. The department was able to minimize their increase in non-discretionary costs to just 0.4%, which is just an additional $625, and they were able to realign their funding, if you will, in such a way that they'll be able to support training, and they were able to reduce the expectation for some contracts. The Prince George's share of their budget is 894,000. Moving to the corporate IT, their request for FY26 is 4.1 million. That's a 15% base budget increase, or 555,000. But as Bill has already indicated, there are two components to the driver of their request. One is the restoration of the 260,000 that was reduced from their budget in the current year, FY25. So that those expenses were to be resumed, if you will, in FY26. And then the other part of their increase is simply not discretionary as well. It's related to the contractual costs that they experience in the annual renewals. And taken as a whole, the Prince George's share of that 4.1 million will be 1.8 million. And then the Merit Board is requesting a total of just under 178,000. That is a 0.5% base budget increase, or just an additional $826. Although their personnel expenses are increasing by 4.5%, or nearly $6,500, the department again was able to reduce some non-discretionary costs by almost an equal amount, $5,600. And again, those reductions are based on their actual trends. And the Prince George's share of their budget is nearly 89,000. And then the last department, if you will, under CAS is support services. And that budget request for FY26 is just shy of 1.7 million year over year. That is 7/10 base budget increase, which amounts to an additional $12,000. This budget is reflecting such a low increase because it is our belief that we can lower our expectations with regard to projected unemployment payments, which then allows us to allow this departmental area to be able to absorb the minimal increases they expect to have in their other services and supply charges. And the Prince George's share is nearly 914,000. So again, taken as a whole, the 7 CAS departments budget for FY26 will roll up to 28.7 million, of which Prince George's will be funding 15 million of that. The next 4 slides just are going to provide greater detail on the critical needs. The first slide speaks to what will be gained from funding this investment, and what to be gained is an enhanced P-card program that will meet the full compliance requirements, and we will gain by having a stronger investigatory services that will better be able to provide departments with enhanced public accountability training. The next slide provides the cost breakdown of the 2 positions, and as you can see, taken together, they total nearly $286,000. The next slide after that speaks to gives you a summary of the role and the responsibilities that will be assigned to this new corporate purchase card administrator. They're going to provide oversight of the current program, and they're going to provide training for program participants, and they are the ones that are going to be responsible, if you will, to respond to the recent audit findings. The next slide provides a summary of the new senior auditor. Again, with this position, the Office of Inspector General will be able to expand their independent evaluations, which have been requested by the departments, and they will also be able to provide more advisory services through greater outreach and training. And then this next slide was put in here. Next slide, please. Was just put in here to provide you a quick snapshot of what's going on with our IT costs. And of course, Director Mazin is available to speak to any concerns, but you can see right here that the commission is experiencing basically 11.5% increase in licenses and subscriptions. And so with that, we thank you for your consideration of the FY26 CAS budget request, which of course includes both base costs as well as the 2 critical needs. And we're available to take questions.
Thank you, Madam Pumpkin. Well done. Do we have questions for Ms. Bacote-Charles or Mr. Spencer related to the Central Administrative Services budgets? Commissioner Dorner, you may have a question.
Yep, I'll jump in if you're going to tee me up. All right, Ms. Charles, so why did the pumpkin apply for a budget increase?
Oh, do tell.
Because it wanted to become a gorgeous centerpiece for Halloween.
Oh, wow. I really like that one.
How late did you stay up finding all this information, Mr. Dorner?
I'm impressed. Are there other questions for Ms. Bacote-Charles?
I don't have a question, Mr. Chair, but I certainly want to thank the position being proposed regarding the Inspector General's position. That is very needed, and the work they do is just very outstanding, but there was a shortage in terms of employees, and they certainly could use more assistance in that office. So I'm glad to see that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bailey, and thank you for your service on the audit committee. And I think you know firsthand through that work how important the role is and how vital the resources are. So thanks for bringing that up. Other questions or comments? I would just say I want to thank you all for being mindful that these can be pretty complicated budget times, and you all are being very fiscally prudent, but investing where we need the investments. So thank you. Thanks for all the good work. This is again, these are all briefings. There's no action needed. So if there's no other questions for any of the folks who've presented on these budgets, then we will move on. I want to thank everybody for taking the time for this briefing for us. And we will move on our agenda. Consent items, I'd look for, is there anyone who wishes to oppose staff's recommendations on item 4A and D, or a board member wishes to discuss either of the items? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Motion to approve items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Bailey, a second by Commissioner Washington. If there's no discussion, I will call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 5-0. We'll move on to our regular agenda items. First is item 5, DSP Detailed Site Plan 23019 Swan Crossing. This is going to be a request for a continuance to November 21. We'll turn to Mr. Price for a brief staff presentation.
Sound check.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I'm Todd Price with the zoning section. Item number 5 is detailed site plan DSP-23019 for Swan Crossing. This DSP is for the development of 57 single-family detached dwelling units in the prior R55 zone. The applicant has submitted a continuance request. In a memorandum dated October 16, 2024, the applicant requested to continue this item to the Planning Board date of November 21st, 2024. Staff recommend that the Planning Board approve the continuance request to November 21, 2024 to allow the applicant time to submit the necessary Maryland Inventory of Historic Properties form. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price, and thank you for dressing up as a planner. We appreciate that. You did an excellent job.
Very scary. Glad I pulled it off.
I know, you pulled it off well. We don't have anyone representing the applicant on this. This is a pretty straightforward request for continuance. Commissioners, if there's no questions, I would look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request to continue DSP-23019 to Planning Board hearing date of November 21st, 2024.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Vice Chair Bailey. If there's no discussion, I will call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo. Batman votes aye, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
There we go. I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Price.
Thank you.
Next item is item 6, Specific Design Plan STP 2205 Parkland and Rock Creek. Mr. Tedesco is representing the applicant. Mr. Mitchin is giving the staff presentation. This also is a request for a continuance, so it will be brief, I'm sure. We have no one else who signed up to speak on this. Mr. Mitchell, we will start with you.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Board. Just before I begin, I noticed on the recommendation on the PowerPoint, it says approval with conditions, but I just want to confirm that this is a request for approval of a continuance.
Yes.
For the record, I'm Joshua Mitchum with the Urban Design section. Item number 6 is SDP 2205 and Alternative Compliance AC-23014 for Parkland and Rock Creek, which requests the approval of the development of 514 dwelling units across or consisting of 416 single-family attached and 98 single-family detached residential units. In a letter dated October 17, 2024, the applicant's representative requested a continuance of the Planning Board hearing date for the application from today, October 31st, 2024 to November 7th, 2024. The purpose of the continuance request is for the applicant's withdrawal of their variance request, and they have previously submitted a standard 45-day waiver of the action limit, which has set the action limit to November 21st, 2024. Staff recommend that the Planning Board approve the request for continuance and schedule this application for the Planning Board hearing date of November 7th, 2024. And this concludes staff's presentation, and we are joined by the applicant's representation for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchum. We may have questions for you. I think Commissioner Dorner, I think I saw his hand up. I think he has a question for you, Mr. Mitchum. I'm not sure.
I'll jump in on this one because I should have asked one in the last case because there are some things that I was interested in, but I'll save this for later. So I want to know, why did the mummy ask for a continuance?
Couldn't tell you.
Because it was still unraveling the details of its case.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty apt.
Yeah. On that note, we'll turn to the applicant, Mr. Tedesco.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Groovy Outfit. Members of the Planning Board, for the record, Matthew Tedesco on behalf of the applicant, Stanley Martin Homes. We would submit on the letter that was submitted requesting the continuance. Thank Mr. Mitchum for his presentation this morning. We are currently reviewing the staff report and look forward to bringing this case back before you next week on the 7th if this continuance is granted, in which we would respectfully request that it be to accommodate staff and the applicant. I would just also note that I can only presume that Commissioner Dorner did not make many skeleton jokes because he was fearful that he would not find them humorous.
All right, I have one for you, Mr. Tedesco. I'll come at you hard then. So why did the skeleton request the continuance?
He was broken up about it.
That's good. So I was going to say because he didn't have the guts to present his case yet. But.
Either one.
You all look great. I'm glad the tradition is alive and well.
Where's yours?
I'm dressed up as a high-powered attorney today.
Very well done. Commissioners, any other questions for either the applicant or staff? If not, I would look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request to continue SDP-2205 to Planning Board hearing date of November 7, 2024.
I'll second it, but just for clarification, I just want to find out if the witch can specify the reason for the continuance, or would she like me to go ahead and answer for her?
Please, go ahead.
I'm going to guess it's because the witch knows that the attorney needs a little bit more time to help brew up some better arguments for this case.
Oh, wow.
With that friendly amendment to the motion, is there a second?
Second, third.
We got a motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Vice Chair Bailey. If there's no further discussion on this motion, I will call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Quickly vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 5-0. I believe that concludes all the items for the day. Miss Connor, Miss Ballerina, Miss Marionette, I don't know.
And you
Miss
look
Connor.
Adorable, Miss Connor, I must
do.
say.
I
That
have to
outfit is
say.
quite becoming on you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We expect this every week, that same outfit.
At least.
Exactly. Is there any further business before us?
There is not, but I hope you have a spooktacular afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Well done.
Oh, wow.
With that, folks, without any objection, we are adjourned. Happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks for the fun.
Thank
Happy
you.
Halloween. Have a good one all. Bye.